They assemble at night, each one having prepared as diligently as possible for the time given to them before the witching hour, the hour of reckoning, the time when they begin outdoor cartoon television. Stray Cast is on the air.
Fish it out.
And a new day will dawn in the Bassin galaxy for those who stand long. And the forests and the lakes will echo with laughter. Does anybody remember laughter? I remember laughter. I'm your host, Pat Renwick. This is Wednesday night. This is live right meow. It is time for Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. Yes, the festivities continue right here, right now. First, another big show, just like every Wednesday. Another big show right here for you, Bassin Galaxy. Coming up first, first off, the cruise missile himself. Ladies and gentlemen, John Cruz coming on first. Woo! Yes. Johnny Cruz. John Cruz coming at us live. Then he has just triumphed with accolades. I don't know what that means, but he has just triumphed with accolades over his emergence of a victory on the in Detroit on Lake St. Clair. Jason Christie joins us live tonight after John Cruz. Ryan Popcorn Whitaker and JP High, the hip-hop fishermen, are not here tonight. They're doing bass fishing tournament stuff in West Wisconsin on the Mississippi River, and we wish them the best of luck at that derby. So everyone loves bass fishing, and everyone loves babes. So my co-host tonight is bass fishing supermodel Nicole Dorr. Yeah. Woo! That's Nicole Dorr.
Hey, guys, what's up?
That's Nicole. She's a bass fishing supermodel. She's here to lend us a hand or two tonight, right here live on Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. Hey, just want to say I always like to give props and due diligence to where it is due. And in talking about dancing with Who Brung Ya. First off, just want to say thank you very much to Mark Jeffries for the living room. In this industry. He is totally the godfather of bass fishing webcast, podcast, however you put it. And Mark was calling out to all bass fishing media on his show yesterday on Bass Talk Live. You could check him out on Bass Talk Live. Of course, you know that already. But Mark, we would love to be part of the Derby to benefit the charity of our choice whenever the time comes, and we'll be in contact with you, Mark. Thank you so much for the invite, because we'd love to be part of it, and you know, we can fish a little bit. You know, we're no Stormtrooper Dave or Brian the Carpenter, but we could certainly fish a little bit. So we'd be happy to do that, Mark, and we'll get in touch with you. And again, thank you for the living room. Without you, this would not be possible. Nicole, tell them what to do.
Put the power poles down. We'll be right back with John Cruz.
John Cruz. Keep it locked. Quality, dependability, consistency, and fish-catching performance is what separates a War Eagle spinnerbait from the pack. Hand-assembled, inspected, and tested in Rogers, Arkansas, War Eagle lures are the choice of Mike McClellan, Andy Morgan, Edwin Evers, and you, the serious bass angler. War Eagle lures, when you absolutely have to catch fish. Find War Eagle lures at your local tackle store or visit wareaglelures.com today. PH Custom Lures by Phil Hunt are quickly becoming the most sought-after custom balsa baits in the industry, from the Little Hunter to the Squeaky P. These baits are pure quality, handcrafted, hand-carved, and hand-painted. But most importantly, they flat-out catch fish. PH Custom Lures has a bait for any situation in a magnitude of colors. Check out the Old School, Straighter, and PH Custom series at phcustomlures.com. That's phcustomlures.com. Welcome back, Straight Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. I am your host, Pat Renwick. This is bass fishing supermodel Nicole Dorr. And right now, we are super stoked to have on this show, for the first time ever, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for John Cruz. John Cruz. Woo! Give me an internet high five, John. Yeah, that's how we do it. Woo! That's how we do it at Ashley Schaefer. Woo! Right there. Boom. Dude, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad you can make it on here finally.
Yeah, Pat, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you can tell this is absolutely a normal bass fishing show, right? I mean, right off the get-go, you know.
Absolutely. It's just the perfect name. I love the name. I love it. I love the way it's starting out. We're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Classic.
Yeah. And the world is getting introduced to bass fishing supermodel Nicole Dorr right now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hello, Nicole.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, that's John Cruz. He is
Don't actually don't know who he is.
Yeah, he's a bass fishing hammer or a stud, like they call him in the
Yeah,
industry.
it's crazy to be in your presence. Thank you for allowing it.
There you go. He is the Cruz missile, John. And seriously, man, dude, you're making waves. You've been making waves for a while. We always do this when we have a guest on the show for the first time. Can you give us a little John Cruz history and go back? Like, I think you've been doing this, 14, 15 years or something? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I've been doing it a long time. I'm 39 years old now. I started fishing full time right when I got out of college. And, since the time I was basically 21 until now, I've been able to make my living fishing. So the first few years, there were some trials and tribulations, but the third Bassmaster tournament that I ever fished, I came in third. It was down at Lake Okeechobee. And back then they used to give boats away for first, second, and third place in those invitationals. And so I won a boat. I sold it the next day for $22,000. And that really kind of gave me the money that I needed to keep going. Back then, $22,000, would carry you for a season or two, but not so much. These days and times, it's a lot more expensive sport to get into. But that's really kind of what got me going. And then after I think it was about 3 or 4 years of full-time fishing before I had anybody paying me as a sponsor. And that first one was $100 a month, man. I was so pumped about that.
Nice, big time.
Yeah, I was big time. I knew it. But it took me another 3 to 4 years to really get established enough to be able to start really making an income. But luckily with the sport of bass fishing, if you're halfway decent enough, you can win your tournament winnings enough to support your life, and you pay all your bills and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what kept me going. I was fishing FLW and bass, and then when the inception of the Elite Series, I guess that was 11 or 12 years ago now.
Yep.
I quit fishing FLW, and I only fish bass from then on.
And I mean, and like right off the bat, I mean, what was the win you had on the Delta? What year was that?
That was 2010.
2010.
That was March of 2010, and that was coming off pretty much my worst season ever. I think I finished 70 something in the points. I didn't feel like I was fishing bad, but man, like every tournament, just worst case scenario, practice just fizzled out into the tournament and never made the right move. And then I had a long layoff from the last tournament. I think it was like late August. From then all the way to the next March, I did not fish another tournament. And that was really weird because early on in my career, I was fishing 20 tournaments a year, 22 tournaments. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of tapered them off. And now I fish probably 10 or 11, but that was just a weird, 5-month layoff of tournaments, 6-month layoff of tournaments. And then the very first one I fished, I won. And so that kind of got me back on track, and I had a real good year that year.
And you know what I remember about that Derby, besides the win, it was like you were so excited. You stuck a good one, landed a good one, man, and you're like, oh, I think I lost my rod. It was that.
Yeah.
It's like, right. Wait a minute, where's my flip stick? You're like, what happened? Where is it?
That's right. Yeah, I was flipping, and I flipped. I think it was it was a 4 or 5 pounder, and got him in the boat. And I was excited. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just take the rod and kind of throw it back up towards the front deck. And I just throw it back up towards the front deck. It lands somewhere on the front deck. And then I unhook the fish, put them in the live well, whatnot. Well, when I didn't realize when I threw it back up towards the front deck, I just threw it straight off the boat.
It kind of went sailing, dude.
I didn't even realize it. And I unhooked the fish. I had already unhooked the fish, I believe. And so what happened, luckily, is that I started looking around, and I was counting my rods, and man, I was just bugging out. I said, man, where is this rod? And then I looked at my steering wheel, and I could see the hook of the bait that I was fishing in the steering wheel. And I went, wait a second. And so I grabbed on the hook, and the line was connected, and I started pulling, and I pulled the whole rod and reel out of the water and shook it off. Put a new bait on and kept fishing.
And salvage. And at that time of your career, like rods and reels were way more valuable. Not that they're not valuable now, but, definitely.
Right.
Definitely
right.
They were.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
So when did the inception of the whole Missile Baits deal kind of come into play?
I've been Missile Baits has been up and running for 5.5 years now. And for about 2 years prior to that, I kind of got hit with the idea of, I want to start a soft plastics company, and I want to be able to design my own baits and to be able to promote them and all that. And I really wanted to start with a new brand, just a clean slate as far as branding and company identity. I had a couple opportunities to work with other companies to help design, but I was going to be basically piggybacking on the brand that they had already started, and I didn't want to do that. So I ended up, one thing led to another. I ended up starting the company by myself. Ish Monroe was basically a pro staff from pre-day one. Before day one, he was pro staff. And so he and I have been friends for a long time, and was able to get things going. And it's funny how life happens and things happen for a reason. I always feel like 2 months into us doing business, we got approached by some account executives from a distributor that wanted to be able to show our baits to Dick's Sporting Goods, and they did business with Dick's. So I was like, that's cool. I had no clue about what that meant. Well, the next month, they go to March, they go to meet with the people at Dick's Sporting Goods. It just so happened that was the same week that we were fishing Lake Okeechobee. And we were fishing Lake Okeechobee. The first day of that tournament, Ish brings in 35 pounds.
Yeah.
He's leading the tournament by half a mile. And he just sits there up there and tells everybody, I caught all these fish on a Missile Baits D-Bomb. It's a brand new bait, and I know none of y'all have it. So
Oh,
Boom, sales.
perfect.
tough nipples. And so we went up there, and the next day they had that meeting with the Dick's Sporting Goods people. The distributor put the baits on the desk, and the guy goes, "Yeah, I want to show you something new." And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, John Cruz and Ish Monroe. He just caught a giant bag yesterday." And next thing you know, they were putting it in 50 stores, 100 stores, 200, and the rest is kind of history. It just really grew from there. But it's just funny how things happen, like that for a reason. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a real quick story. When we had Ish Monroe on the show, he was actually via Skype from his boat fishing the Delta. And
Right.
And he said the word D-bomb so many times that actually the viewers at home were playing a drinking game to every time Ish said D-bomb,
nice.
they had to take a drink. And our audience was wasted by the end of the show. It was phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was
Awesome.
It was
Damn.
It was an
That
excellent.
sounds like fun to me.
Yeah, I mean that was Ish's deal right there. I mean he was flipping the D-bomb, and I think that was a bass fishing talk show first, actually, to have an interview with an angler via the talk show, actually catching fish on the Delta.
That's cool. Yeah.
It was like a Tuesday nighter, and then he blamed us for losing, and he said he'd never come on the show again.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
No, that's a true story I just made up right now.
Oh, 100%.
I talked to Ish twice in the past week since I've been home, and he's warned me on both occasions. He said, "Please bring more black D-bombs with you when you come back." He's got a nice supply, but he just wants to make sure he doesn't run out. So
he knows the source, man. He goes
Exactly.
He goes right to the trap. That Ish. He knows.
That's what's up.
So missile baits, man. I mean, it has grown. Probably, like, is it safe to say beyond your expectation of what you initially started? I mean, besides plastics, the jigs, the whole deal, man. I mean, it's blossomed.
Yeah, our first year really kind of took off. I don't know if it was, I'd say, better than I expected. A lot of people asked me the same thing, and I really didn't have dead set expectations on where I thought we could go. To be honest with you, I felt like we could be even bigger than we are now. Sometimes, in the bait business, whether it's hard or soft plastic baits, you have what's called. Guys we kind of term it in baseball terms as far as, well, that bait was kind of a single, that bait was kind of a double, that bait was a grand slam. It seems like one out of every 8 or 10 baits that you do end up being grand slams, and if you're lucky, you get one out of every 4 or 5. So it's just, if we would have had maybe 2 more grand slams out of the baits that we've come out with, I feel like we could be even further up. But sometimes it's not because the bait is not a really effective bait. Sometimes it's just coincidence that they don't catch on, so to speak, and really just take off. You got to get people to put it on the hook first before you can actually get them to fish with it. They might buy it once, but if they don't turn around and put it on the hook, you can't get that phenomenon going and get it really rocking. But I've been really pleased with the amount of growth we've had. We've had consistent growth all 5 years that we've been in business, and from what I can tell, I'm projecting us to have good consistent growth again next year. And you have to have increased distribution, you have to have more SKU space, and you have to have good, innovative new baits on the horizon. And that's kind of what I see us having and have had. So I think we'll have good growth again this coming year.
Absolutely. Now, the D-bomb, I mean, as Ish had put it, and everybody that flips, whether they're going to admit it or not, they have a D-bomb in their boat. Okay, they
Right.
really do. Now, and the kind of the first deal as far as that that creature type, for lack of a better explanation, was kind of the sweet beaver. Okay, a lot of
Right.
we were all
Yeah.
we all still throw both. I mean, we all do. There's times and
Yeah.
places for everything. But what I want to know from you, John, is tell me about like the actual evolution of that D-bomb. Was it like a sketch, man? And what did you do? What's the deal?
Yeah, the D-bomb basically came from me fishing the sweet beaver. I mean, it's still a good bait, but the beaver and the D-bomb are completely different baits.
Right.
And a lot of people say, "Well, I don't even throw the sweet beaver anymore." Well, dude, they're two different baits, man. They do two different things. The beaver is much more of a glide bait. To me, that bait replaced a flipping tube in my boat. I took the flipping tubes out of the boat, put the beaver in. The D-bomb is much more like a streamlined jig in my book.
Sure.
All those ribs on the body create a lot of turbulence, and so the bait doesn't want to sail. All that resistance of the bait going through the water, it has a straight fall. I did the D-bomb for two parts. One, I wanted the ring body so that the hook would have really good penetration. I wanted that bait to really collapse when you set the hook so that you had just phenomenal hook penetration, which is sometimes a problem with the beaver. If you have the right hook and you have a fresh bait and all that kind of stuff, you don't usually have too many problems, but it can be a problem, especially if the bait twists and it goes through the thick portion of that body, then you can miss a few fish. But the other part of it is that with a flipping tube or beaver or whatever, those baits, when you work them really slow, they do almost nothing. I mean, there's just almost no movement in the water. And I wanted a flipping bait that had action when you just barely move that bait. So when you flip that D-bomb in there, if you look at it in clear water, you flip the D-bomb in there and you just watch it go hit the bottom. I mean, that thing hits the bottom, and then it'll take it about 3 or 4 or 5 seconds to slowly fall, and those little flappers are real thin, and they just keep slowly moving. I mean, 4 or 5 seconds after the bait is stopped, and that's exactly what I wanted. And so when you, like, say you lift that bait up to a branch or up to under a mat, those little claws just kind of constantly breathe, so to speak, under the water. So it's a big, bulky flipping bait, but it's got a lot of little action to it, which, like I said, the beaver, a lot of the flipping baits, not just a beaver, a lot of flipping baits are bigger and bulkier, but they don't have that action when you're just barely moving them. And I think that is one of the main reasons that the D-bomb outfishes a lot of other flipping baits, is that subtle action when the bait's not technically moving.
I agree. And also what I like about it is you can get a gaff in there. You can get like a 5/0 or a 6/0 flip hook in that thing.
That's right. Yeah, you can put a big old tuna hook in there and just absolutely rack back on them when you get a bite and just have a big old time.
So true or false, John, you are now being sued by an angler whose jeans were ruined by too much oil on the D-bombs. Is that true or false?
Well, we have a scientific study to try to figure out if the oil was coming from the outside or if the oil came from the inside of the pants.
Got you.
So we're waiting for the results of that.
It's a forensics file to come through.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Very good. Hey, do you consider yourself a shallow water guy? Is that your deal? I mean, is that?
I consider myself a very versatile guy. I'm just as comfortable fishing way offshore, deep water, either light line or deep cranking. I love the deep crank. I've had a lot of good deep crankbait tournaments, multiple top 12s doing it. So I'm just as comfortable out there doing that kind of stuff as I am, sight fishing or shallow cranking or anything like that. And so it's a virtue, but it also can hurt you,
right,
in different tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. With that question being asked, what bass fishing scenario or technique are you intimidated by? Are there any that intimidate you a bit?
All right. So, for example, I look at the schedule for next year, and we have a bunch of different types of fisheries. I'm not excited or like distraught over any of the events on there. Like one of the events, a good example is the Upper Chesapeake Bay. Last time we went there, I did completely awful. I finished like 100th or something. I mean, just, borderline suicide type situation, because I know how the place fishes. I grew up fishing the Potomac River, but I can tell you, I circled that place because I want revenge on it. Not because I feel like I know how to catch them or any of that. I just want revenge on figuring that place out. We're going back at the same time of year. I'm like, I'm going to figure that place out. I screwed it up last time. I tried to force some things, but I want redemption on it. So that's what I like more than anything, is just going back to a place and figuring it out and doing much better.
Hey, which way is the beach, John Cruz? Is it that way? Is the beach that way?
Gun City.
Gun
I think
City.
it's over here.
Whoa, that's where the weight room
Long
is.
sleeve.
So, I mean, you've kind of turned it around, man. I mean, and no offense intended, but you were kind of just a typical skinny bass fisherman, and you, well, maybe most bass fishermen are fat, like, and they wear diamond gusset jeans and have shows called Bass Fishing University. But that not besides that. But
Right.
But no, dude, you are a workout fiend now.
Jacked.
Yeah, ever since I've been in high school, I started to kind of work out, and in college, I really got into it, and it's part of my life, and it's been part of my life ever since. I mean, I worked out after I was at the office till 5 o'clock today. I went to the gym and hit it just to kind of keep in shape. I think it does a lot of things to help you mentally, it helps you physically, just you feel better, and it's just to me it's almost a sanctuary in order to kind of get away from everything. The way I explain it to people is if you've got a couple 100 pounds on your back or on your chest or whatever you might be lifting, you don't think about anything else in your life other than making sure that weight does not crush you.
Yeah.
That is, and so from that aspect, it's really a nice getaway. And then, and then all the endorphins and everything that kicks out, man. It's just it's addictive. I love it.
Absolutely, it's the feel good factor, and I enjoy to run. That's what I like to do. I run, and I've had this conversation with Aaron many times, and just the positive feeling that you get, what carries over not only into your angling but into everyday life. That, for example, I'm sure you're the same way. If you miss a workout, you kind of feel like shit, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't get too hung up on it. I know Aaron, it totally jacks his head up, and to be one of the best natural anglers ever, he is his own worst enemy in his head, and he knows it. But if I miss a few workouts, I'm not too upset about it, because
good for you.
On the flip side, you have to be recovered. You have to be fully recovered if you're gonna have a good workout, or if you're gonna be ready to fish a tournament. You can't be in a state of, repair your body, muscles that are needing to repair. You can't be like that and then go out there and fish. That's one of the things that I think that working out, whether you run or lift or a combination, is that your body is in a habit of getting broken down and recovering quickly. Break down, recover. When we go bass fish, I mean, we're practicing for 13, 14, 15 hours a day, and then we get 5 or 6 hours of sleep by the time you get all your stuff done and eat dinner and all that kind of stuff, get ready for the next day. And so your body needs to be able to recover each night, and I feel like the working out really helps that portion of it over top of other guys. I hear guys even on tour, man, they're bitching about by the end of the week, oh man, I'm tired.
Sure.
I'm tired. Aaron doesn't do this, but man, I'm so tired. Like, dude, man, buck it up. I mean, like, you are not prepared physically for what these tournaments bring you.
So that's a perfect segue right there, John Cruz. So, let's say that you are an Elite Series fitness guru, like you're the Richard Simmons of the Elite Series, let's say, okay?
Okay.
So you're a fitness guru. Who's the first guy on the Elite Series that you are going to whoop into shape, dude? Who's the first guy?
Wait, now, are you saying who needs it?
Yeah. Who are you going to take under your wing and be like, all right, man, you need to get in shape? Who's the guy?
Together.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that, because, my best friend on tour is Ish. Love him to death. He is the most inconsistent person about working out that I know, and he knows it. He knows this. He's not afraid of the gym. He'll go to the gym. It's not like he doesn't like the gym. He just gets out of the habit of going to the gym, and he's very naturally got a nice stature. I mean, like real broad shoulders. If he worked out more consistently, he could get into phenomenal shape and have much better stamina than he does. But the good thing about Ish is if you're not more consistent as he should be, he doesn't stress about the wrong things, and that that really helps him, not be overburdened during a tournament week. He and I, consciously have worked on that over the years of just having a good time at the events, making sure we're not, stressed out. You just got to go catch them. That's the name of the game. That's all we stay focused on, is how to catch them and have a good time. And we're going to laugh, and we might have a cocktail or something, and just have a good time. That's a big portion of why we think we can consistently be successful.
Well, what Ish told us was that his guilty pleasure and his problem is that he eats what was it, Andy? Too many orange cranberry muffins or something? Is that his deal? I mean, I'm being serious. He told us something like that.
He gets on different kicks. Every once in a while, he'll have like a cookie fetish, and
the phase.
He'll eat cookies for like a week, not all the time, but like a little extra here, a little extra there, and then sometimes he'll have the muffin fetish. I remember that muffin fetish he was in. He couldn't get enough of them. He had to have one with breakfast and whatnot. So that was it.
The whole rod locker was filled with muffins. is actually the true story.
Sure, you're not talking about Ike and Ellie's rod locker full of swim baits?
That's that one.
Dude, I'm not kidding you. Like 6-8 years ago, when that swim bait craze was big with the boot tail stuff.
Sure.
His entire rod locker was full of swim baits. It had to weigh 300 or 400 pounds in there. It was unbelievable. He had to like stuff it down to get that Bass Cat locker to close. And since then he's called out the ones he doesn't throw. He's gotten better about it.
Yeah, right. We were at Mike's house a couple weeks ago. I don't know, a month. I was like 4th of July or something. We were out there, and he still has like literally Tupperware containers full of swim baits, dude.
Oh yeah.
I mean, nuts. And our buddy Kyle Perscalo, he's got that company 3F Fishing for Five, and they make a swim bait called the Babe. And basically what it is an exact duplicate reproduction of that XPS swim bait that you all know about. I know we all know about.
That's right.
But here's why I'm getting at this. They did a thing on Bass University about swim baits. So we sent some swim baits to Mike to give away. All right, to give away on the air. Well, guess what Mike did with them?
He put them in his tackle box.
He took them all. He took them all.
Hoarded them.
That surprised me one.
They're that good. Hey, have you ever been on a game show, John Cruz?
Not that I know, not a formal one. I like to play some different games like Cards Against Humanity and things like that.
Well, those are always fun. But you know what? You're about to be on a bass fishing game show now. Are you ready? Do you want to play What's on Your Mind, or do you want to play the Bass and Match game?
Oh my God.
Let's do What's on Your Mind.
What's on your mind?
Okay, here it is.
Yes. Are you ready, Bass Fishing Supermodel Nicole Dorr?
Of course.
We are going to play What's on Your Mind with John Crew. Miss Jackson, give me a beat. Where are we? Yes. It's time for the Bass and Match game. I'm your host, Pat Renwick. This is Bass Fishing Supermodel Nicole Dorr and Elite Series professional John Cruz. John, very simple. I'm going to give you a phrase or a word, and you tell me what's on your mind. John, the first word to you is anti-finesse. Anti-finesse.
Tommy Biffle.
Tommy Biffle is anti-finesse.
Right to mind. He openly admits that he has only used a spinning rod for the last couple of years.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Excellent answer.
Yeah.
The sauce, John Cruz.
Ooh, the sauce.
Yes.
I would have to. The first thing that comes to my mind is Evan Williams. I'll be honest.
Evan Williams.
Saucy.
That's it. Hey, how about a studio audience round of applause for Evan Williams sauce? Right there. Boom. That's how you sponsor plug. Right there. That's how you do it. Boom.
So good.
Right there. Snozberries.
Snozberry. A made-up fruit.
A made-up fruit.
Sounds good, though.
What is the snozberry to you, Nicole?
It's kind of like a strawberry, but the seeds are like little raspberry bits.
Boom,
Basically.
right there.
Delicious.
I think she
Absolutely
nailed
great.
it, too.
Protein.
Well, the points go to Nicole. Sorry, John.
Taking them.
That's understandable.
Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin.
The first thing that comes to my mind is rumpled foreskin.
There it is. This is a bass fishing talk show, unlike any other. Off-road bassin. Off-road bassin, John Cruz.
Off-road bassin. I just immediately thought of General Tire.
Of
General
course
Tire.
you did. And don't you think that you should be in those commercials instead of Skeet? Don't you think so?
That's what everybody else says. I'm not worried about it. I knew it was like a 3-day shoot they did down there in Charlotte for that deal, and then they shot one of the other ones at the MLF, which I don't participate in. So as long as I don't have to extra days out of my schedule, I'm okay
down.
with that.
Yeah, you need to be in the next one. Shooter McGavin is out. John Cruz is in.
Start a petition.
Yes,
Let's do it.
we are right now. Bass Fishing Galaxy start the petition. The meat stick. The meat stick.
The meat stick. A lot of times I'll eat, like I call it the meat stick. There's like a jerky stick that I'll take on the boat sometimes, and that's what I thought about.
The protein.
Yeah,
The protein. John Cruz, you won. John Cruz won. Yeah. Woo! Nailed
Knew
it.
it.
First time ever on a Bass Fishing
I knew
talk
it.
show.
I knew
Game show.
I knew it.
Thanks for beating me. I appreciate it.
Nicole, tell him what he won.
You won a fun talk show.
You won a fun talk show.
That's what you won.
Phenomenal.
I've never had one of those.
Yeah.
Congratulations!
There it is right there. Hey, now speaking of protein, we have viewer mail for you. And hold on, bear with me a second, John.
Okay.
This comes from let's see here. Let me get to this slow moving reaction right here. Okay, this comes from Brian Stokel from Lemonade, New Jersey.
Right.
Okay. It's okay, here it is. Brian wants to know right here. Now this is completely absurd. Okay? Ask him if he could take Roland Martin out in a gas passing contest. What does that even mean?
You have no idea.
Tell Brian Stokel that maybe I already have.
Maybe I already have.
Just saying.
I don't even know what that meant, but I had to ask it. That's my duty as a member of the media.
Keep it low key. Just keep it low key.
To ask questions like that.
Yep.
All right. Let's get really serious.
Brian Stokel, that reminds me that I have a picture to show of Brian Stokel next time I see him. That reminded me.
Nice. I'll bet you
I
did.
can't text it to him because I don't know where it will go.
Can you share it with everyone here live on the air?
No, I cannot.
Dang it. Darn it. Let's get really serious right now, okay? Let's get super serious right now, okay? I'm gonna 360 it here. Let's pretend you're a superhero, okay?
Right.
What superhero would you be to improve your performance on the bass fishing circuit on the Elite Series? What superhero would you be?
I would maybe the Flash.
The Flash.
Be
How
super
would that help
fast?
you? How would that help you?
Well, nobody's going to beat you to a fishing hole.
That's
I mean, you're
true.
just going to be the first one there every time.
The first presentation.
Yeah, and you think Kevin Van Dam can cover a lot of water? The Flash, he's smoking.
Dude,
Blast him.
Johnny
He
Cruz
makes like-
Missile,
He
the
literally
Flash.
will make 10 million casts in a day.
The Flash. Nicole, do you have a question for John Cruz?
Yeah, actually I do. John, as a professional bass fisherman, I know you probably spend so much time on the road. I want to hear one of your favorite crazy stories.
Oh,
Gotta be
boy.
favorite. Gotta be favorite.
I tell you one, just a quick story of this like random stuff that happens. I've never like been held up by gunpoint or any of that kind of stuff, but a number of guys on tour have run into that situation. But I tell you one of the funniest stories, and it kind of reminded me since we were just had that last viewer ask a question. me and it was back when I was fishing FLW. I was fishing on Old Hickory Lake, and I was fishing up the lake a little ways on the main river, and there's some current in that lake. So I was holding my boat in the current. You know, there's a few pieces of driftwood and whatnots drifting down the lake, and I'm casting, and all of a sudden I look, and I see something in the water, and it's like, no way, that's not what I think it is. And I look, and sure enough, it was a giant dildo floating down the river, and it rolled over, and it was unmistakable what it was. And I was laughing so hard I just pointed at it because my co-angler asked what it was, and then he went, "Oh my God, look at that!" And then about that time we heard it just drift up against the boat, and it went Boom, boom.
Thump, thump.
Like, against the side of the boat. That's how much girth this thing had.
Oh my goodness.
That is an amazing story right there. That is that not the best story we've ever heard on this show right there? The floating dildo story from John Cruz.
I mean, I was laughing. I mean, like, where would
Someone
how
put
would
a
that
dildo in
get
the water.
into the lake? How would it get into the lake? That's what I want.
Was it on Havasu?
No, it was in Tennessee near Nashville.
No,
somewhere.
I know. I was just saying because you
Yeah.
could figure
Oh,
Havasu.
everywhere at Havasu. Yeah, there's actually flotillas of them.
Yeah, everywhere. Oh my gosh. Hey, you're into arm wrestling, right? Speaking of dildos, you're into arm wrestling, and
Oh my god.
no, seriously, you seriously are into arm wrestling, right?
I haven't arm wrestled in a long time.
Like
but
somebody told me you're into arm wrestling.
I'm not afraid to. I'm not afraid to. If anybody wants to go at it.
So, like, who would you not arm wrestle on the Elite Series?
I don't know. My arms are not that long, so if people are really tall, they have such a leverage advantage.
Oh, true.
I really have to buckle down on them. So the tall dudes give me the most trouble. If it's a shorter stature person like me, I got that.
That's why, like, whenever I would get in fights, and I usually got my ass kicked most of the time because of my big mouth, but I always learned never to get in fights with tall guys just because of the reach. Because you'd think that you were far enough away from them, but they just give you a
They hover over, straight leverage.
Boom.
Straight leverage.
Done deal.
Well, here's the trick on tall dudes. If you ever have that situation happen again, you got to get so close to them they can't hit you.
Oh, so they're like...
Them tall dudes, you got to take them to the ground and get on top of them and smother them. And then they'll put those long arms up. Once they put those long arms up, it's grappling 101. You can take them right out.
I mean, I like the knee. I just go straight for the whole knee up type of thing.
You knee them up.
Yeah, basically.
That's the deal. Hey, we learned a lot from you tonight, John Cruz.
I try. I like to entertain people. I try that.
Yeah, you did very well, and thank you so much for coming on this crazy show with us tonight. Do you have anything you want to say to your fans or your sponsors before we get out of here?
Man, I appreciate it. Just if anybody wants to follow me anymore, I've got Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Those are the only 3 social media deals that I do. I'm capped off at 3 social media platforms. And so, I interact with a lot of people on those and try to have fun with it and everything else, just like we did here.
There we go. Hey, man, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you on again, man.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And knock him out, man. Best of luck to you.
Thanks.
Safe
I really
travels.
appreciate it.
That is John Cruz right there, Bassmaster Elite Series touring professional. Nicole, what's going on? What do they need to do here right
You
now?
have to put your power pulls down, and we'll be right back with Jason Christie.
With Jason Christie coming up next. Peace. Thanks, John Cruz. Be right back.
Thanks.
I'm John DeMay with M Jigs. Today, I'd like to share with you a little bit about a couple products that we have in our lineup that we're really excited about. The first product I'd like to talk to you about today is the Joe Football Head Jig. Right out of the package, you'll notice that our football head jig is different than most on the market. What makes our jigs different is the quality of components. Let's start with the hook. These hooks are custom made for us in Japan. 90-degree bend, black nickel hooks, razor sharp, JDM quality. All of our Joe Football Head jigs have living rubber skirts. They're hand tied with copper wire to ensure that they stay affixed, and it also helps them to flare while they're in the water. We powder paint and heat cure each jig to ensure that the paint stays on your jig even when you're fishing rock. Another feature that separates our jig from other jigs on the market is the screw lock keeper. The screw lock keeper does a couple things for you. Not only does it keep your bait affixed, it'll save you money on soft plastics that pull off of standard barb keepers. The second product I'd like to talk to you about is our hybrid flip and swim jig. We also have a custom hook in our flipping swim jig. It's a 4/0 30-degree bend black nickel hook. It has the same durable paint, the same great keeper, and a hand-tied silicone skirt to complete it. So if you're looking for a premium product that's going to give you an edge over your competition, look us up at demjigs.com.
The swim jig technique is one of the most successful ways to put fish in the boat. Time in and time out, Brovani bait swim jigs are just the right tool for the job. Beaming with quality, the Brovani swim jigs come in a myriad of colors, feature the best premium hooks and solid trailer keepers to give you, the serious bass angler, the confidence you need to accomplish your goal of putting more fish in the boat. So go to BrovaniBaits.com and start climbing the ladder to swim jig success.
Welcome back to Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. I am your host, Pat Renwick. Sitting to my right is bass fishing supermodel Nicole Dorr. And we are super stoked right now to bring back to you for the second time ever on this crazy show, Bass Fishing Badass and recent winner of the Rumble in Detroit on Lake St. Clair. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Jason Christie. Woo! Yes. Yes, Jason. Welcome, man. Welcome back.
Glad to be back. How are you guys doing?
We're doing really good. Yeah, I mean, we're having a good time. John Cruz got a little wild right before you. It kind of scared us.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Sounds like you guys had a few more beers than I have.
No,
Not
nothing. I had a Red Bull.
Water.
I don't know what John was doing, but he had a good time. We all had a good time. We had a good time, man.
Yeah, of course, if you've had one, you've had more than me. So.
Hey, dude, seriously, it's awesome to have you back here. And the first thing that I'd like to ask you, Jason Christie, is can you give me the definition, your definition, of a professional bass angler?
A person who makes a living solely from bass fishing.
A person that makes a living. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that own businesses and things like that, but if a guy can make a living bass fishing, I think that's the definition of a professional fisherman. That doesn't mean that guy has to fish the elite series. He can fish, locally, and if he's good enough to make a living doing that, then I consider him a professional bass fisherman.
So anyone that makes their income, their sole income, from fishing, that's a professional bass fisherman.
To me, that would be the definition of it.
I agree. But
100%.
do you know what my definition or who fits the model of a professional bass fisherman to me is you, Jason Christie. And I'm not kissing your ass here. I'm being
Yes, he
real.
is.
I'm being real about this here. Now, I mean,
Well, I fit the definition. That's how I make a living. So,
that is true. But let's look at this, man. Let's look at it in retrospect here. On 2 tours, okay, you've won about $1 million on each tour, okay? I mean, that's not too shabby. Not too shabby. On the BASS trail alone, you've won pretty close to $1 million. You're at $940,000 and change, okay? Now, that's impressive. Now, do you know how many pounds of bass that you have caught in the BASS trail? Do you have any idea how many pounds of bass you've actually caught?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, in case you were wondering. I'm going to tell you. You've caught 2,504 pounds of bass in your BASS career. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot more than I would have guessed. But I look at it different than you guys. I look at how many lures I had to buy to get to that, how much gas I had to buy to catch those fish.
Well, here it brings me to my next point. Bass fishing supermodel Nicole Dorr is going to tell you exactly how many dollars per pound that equates to. What is it, Nicole?
Jason, per pound, you bring in $375.14 a pound.
What?
Crazy, right? Absurd.
$375.14 a pound. Did you ever imagine anything like that?
No, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool stat. I've never heard it.
Well, that's
I've
what it
never
is.
heard it broke down that way.
Yeah, I mean that is like fine grade
Bare basics.
bare basics. Perfect. I mean, so that kind of helps to pay for all the gas, all the lures, but still you're probably in the red if you look at it that way.
But let's see, that's a little off because last week I caught 88 pounds.
Oh,
Times,
Lord.
we'll say 400, whatever that is. That's nowhere close to
I can't even do that math.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a
I'm
lot
going
of
to say more than $1,000.
That's
for
a lot
sure.
of math.
More than $1,000 for sure.
It's a lot of math. Dude,
So
congratulations.
what that tells me is I've caught a lot of bass that I haven't got paid a whole lot for. So
That's what it brings.
everything's good though. Everything's good on my end.
Nice.
Of course.
You're living the dream. I mean, you only in this country can you make a living professional bass fishing. Or maybe like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Only in this country can you really make a living professional
Honestly.
bass fishing. You're living the dream, dude.
But I never would have thought it. Even 10 years ago, much less 20, but 10 years ago, I never would have thought of that. I mean, to be able to, make a living and solely, chase fish year round to make a living, I never would have thought that.
Yeah. Make your passion into a lifestyle and get paid for it.
Boom. It's the American dream right there. Hey, congratulations on St. Clair, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, for real.
Oh, thank you.
Good
I mean,
for
that
you.
that
Yeah,
place, it's got a special place
that was
in your
really
heart.
special. Yeah, it's a special place. I've won there before, but that's where, that win that I had there in 12 was the win that actually transitioned me into, the elite circuit rather than FLW. I mean, in 13 I fished both, but, I won there and really shouldn't have won there. And when I say that's just not my reputation to go up north and catch smallmouth and win, especially 5 years ago. But, that lake, I really like it. And then, to me, it has a lot of history just because, had I not won that event, I probably wouldn't be fishing the Elite Series right now because getting that win got me in the Classic. And once you go to the Classic, I mean, you want a Classic every year.
Right.
That's what kept me in the Elite Series.
It keeps you coming back, man. No
Right, yeah.
no doubt about it. That Lake St. Clair, it can kind of be like finding a needle in a haystack on that body of water, can it? I mean, as far as finding a group of fish.
I agree with you, but the only thing I'll say different is there's a bunch of needles in that haystack. You know what I mean? I mean, there's 200. I mean, I don't even know how many places there is out there that a guy can win a tournament. I mean, it's still a big haystack, and there's still only a couple hundred needles in it, but there's a lot more than one needle in that haystack.
Plenty of fish in the sea.
Yeah, there it is.
Plenty
I mean,
of fish in the sea.
it's an immense body of water. But you went over into Canada, right?
Yeah. I usually I like fishing in Canada. It just sets up. It sets up a little bit different than the American side. To me, the American side gets a lot of pressure. It gets a lot of boat traffic, on that side with all the marinas and stuff. And then the main reason is because the American side usually has a lot more grass, and it's a lot taller, and I just can't use, my electronics in that taller grass like I can in that short grass.
Gotcha. And you were pretty much pinpointing those fish with your electronics, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. I caught probably 18 out of 20 bass that I weighed. I caught on the Garmin Panoptics before. I casted at it, at that fish, pretty much knowing that I was going to get a bite of some kind, It's really sight fishing. I mean, it's really what it is sight fishing, except I was doing it 20 foot deep rather than actually being able to visualize. I mean, I was seeing these fish out there 30, 35 yards and catching them.
That's amazing, man. And you were snapping that tube most of the time, right? That's what you were doing?
Yeah. I had to be able to keep the bait clean. If you just moved it, I mean, it would wad up the stain grass was starting to die a little bit, and it was soft. It wasn't as crisp as it usually is. So you had to really, if you moved it, you had to be snapping it. But I had to do that to keep the bait clean and keep it moving.
And you were using the man tackle to fish those tubes. That was pretty decent.
Yeah, that was. I mean, honestly, I would have preferred to use a stem rod just to fight those fish. Your drag on your spinning reel is usually a lot easier to manage in a light line situation than a bait caster. But I just couldn't keep the bait clean with the spin rod. I just couldn't jerk the rod hard enough to keep it clean. And rather than just being one of those guys that I'm on St. Clair, I'm supposed to be throwing a spin rod. I just simply picked up a bait caster, and started. And I actually, when I won there in 2012, I won on a bait caster also. So I had a little confidence in using a bait caster, and it was the same scenario then. I was fishing around a lot of grass, and I wanted to be able to rip that tube out and get those fish to bite.
So, what were you still throwing the light line on the bait caster though? Is that what you were doing, or?
Yeah, actually in 2012 I was throwing 8 on a bait
Oh.
caster, and then this past week I went up to 10, but they had a little bit of an algae bloom going on, so the water had a little tint to it. So I felt real comfortable using that 10, but it's Sunline Sniper, and it's pretty small. I mean, it's tough, and the smallmouth didn't surprise me, but as many of those, big catfish and big drums that I caught, I never had any problems at all.
Nice. Now, the water got pretty rough. I mean, as it does many times on St. Clair. Were you beat at the end of the 4 days, dude? I mean, were you beat up physically or what?
Oh, I'm still beat up, man. I still haven't recuperated from it, and it was just one of those. It was one of those weeks that I left from Michigan and went to Minnesota for a writers' conference for a couple of days. Drove all day to get home, and then I have not sat down since then. I've been busy ever since, and I just haven't been able to catch up. I'm going to take Friday and Saturday off before next week, and kind of settle down a little bit and get a little rest.
Yeah, much needed.
Yeah, you better too, because you got a big week next week, don't you?
Yeah, it is a big week.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting second right now in AOI points. What are you thinking? What's on your mind, dude? Tell us real.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, the ball is not in my court. It's in somebody else's hands. And if he goes up there and does his job like he has the rest of the year, I mean, there's nothing that I can do about it. If he finishes 14th or 15th, and I win the tournament, and I win by 30 pounds, he wins. There's nothing that, I have to beat him by 15 places. And the kicker about this is there's only 50 possible points to be had. So it's going to be hard. And I mean, just with his reputation and the way he's been fishing this year, I mean, I'd be surprised if he has a bad event, and that's kind of what I have to have to even have a chance. I mean, if he has a subpar event, I still have to finish, 15 places ahead of him with only 50 guys out there. But, with all that said, there is a chance, and if it's meant to happen, I mean, it's going to happen. If it's meant to happen, then there'll be something take place that, what's meant to be will happen.
But it's got to be. I mean, it's a big deal. It's got to be playing on your mind.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly haven't thought about it that much, and the reason being is there's just really nothing. There's no variables up there. I mean, you know that if you're going to go up there and try to win, you're going to fish for smallmouth, and I mean, we've fished there before, and the lake is big, but it's really not that big. I mean, like in 2.5 days, I feel like I can get a good understanding of what's going on. But it's an important week, and I think that's one of the reasons I haven't thought about it a whole lot is I've been staying busy, and that's intentionally trying, I don't want to think about it until I put the boat in next Monday.
Right.
And
keep
then
your mind
start
off
thinking
things.
about it, because you get worked up about it. It's just
Stresses you out.
I'm just not like that. I've stayed busy, and I sure haven't thought about it very much. And that's better for me.
Yeah, that's great.
Worry about other things.
Worry about it when the time comes.
Yeah, when it's happening.
When the time comes, that's when you're gonna
Relax
when
for
you're gonna
now,
nail
of
it.
course.
Hey, Jason, are bass getting smarter, or this is kind of a weird question, but are bass getting smarter or anglers getting better? What does that even mean? Did we lose Jason? Uh-oh. I think we lost Jason. He's still there.
I think
but
we're getting bad
we're
connection. That might be it.
We're losing the signal. Let's try him back. We trying him back, Ginge? Nicole, how are you enjoying your first time on a bass fishing talk show?
I'm really enjoying it.
Do you now know so much more about bass fishing?
Yeah, I'm really educated on this now. I know a lot. I'll say that for sure. I'll go practice it tomorrow.
You're going to go bass fishing tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going to get out on the lake, at 6 a.m. bright and early.
Yeah. Are you going to dance with Who Brung You?
If you want to.
What does that even mean? Jason Christie, somewhere in Oklahoma right now. We're trying to get him back on the line right now. Hey, the deal with bass fishing is, Nicole, is it's a passion to so many of us.
People make their passions their lifestyles.
Yeah.
I completely understand that.
And a guy like Jason, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I must have just dropped the call.
Yeah,
You're good.
we thought you hung up on us.
No,
We thought you had
Yeah,
enough.
no. That was a pretty bad question, but it wasn't that bad.
I love it. So answer that bad question then.
Now you asked me if bass are getting smarter or if fishermen are getting better.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Actually, I think those are opposites. I think if fish were getting smarter, you'd be asking why anglers were getting worse. That doesn't make any sense to me, but I think I know where you're going. But I think, that doesn't make any sense. But I do think that anglers are getting better. I just think that you got from top to bottom, from guys that's 21 to 61 or 7. We even have some that's older than that. Everybody's pretty knowledgeable, and everybody does the research. And I mean, I think it's the best it's been. And I haven't been in it in a long time, but definitely I've been in it 10 years, I think now, and it's stronger now than it has been, in the previous years.
Yeah, absolutely it is, and the competition continues to get tighter as
Yeah.
the years of the Elite Series progress. And I asked that question was actually asked to me, and I did not understand it. So I gave I gave it to you to try and figure out because I didn't know what the hell it meant.
That didn't make any sense. The only way that would make sense would be if you asked me if bass are getting dumber or our anglers getting better. That's the only way that makes any sense to me.
Yeah, so I think we cleared that up. So anglers are dumber and bass are smarter, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
There it is. Hey, you want to talk a little bit about flipping and frogging, man?
Well, it's just one of the things that, those two right there are probably my confidence base. I did an interview a few days ago, and the guy asked me what's my signature technique, and obviously the first thing out of my mouth is flipping. That's just what I grew up doing. But I think 10, 12 wins now, and I've only won one event flipping.
Yeah, I'm here. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you get what I said? I said I've only won one event flipping, but it's still my confidence bait. What I mean by that, when I go somewhere and fishing's tough, I'm going to pick up a frog or a flipping stick, and that's just what I have the most confidence
It's natural,
in.
yeah.
And the deal with flipping is, and you kind of nailed it right there, you don't see a lot of derbies one flipping, but a lot of guys are placing consistently doing it. Why are derbies not being one flipping anymore?
I think it's just like you said. There's so many guys doing it. I mean, there's and it's such an easy technique. I mean, it's something you're fishing visible targets for the most part, and you can run down the bank. You can fish new water every day and still feel like you're around fishing. That's why one of the easier techniques, and there's a lot of guys doing it. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's not one doing that as much as it used to be. But I guarantee you one thing: there's a lot of $10,000 checks getting made with a flipping stick.
Absolutely, and
Sure.
we had Seth Feider on a couple weeks ago, and he's having a great year, as you know. And we asked Seth what he accredited that to, and he said he's just been flipping, man. He said he's just bringing it back to the
All it
basics
is.
and flipping. So your deal is kind of that Christie critter, right? Is that your go-to flip bait?
It is in the summertime. I think more in the spring, in the late fall, I'll pick up a jig just because I feel like if I can catch them on a jig, I have the opportunity to win. But, go and get tough after the spawn, which is when we normally fish the most is, from the spawn on. If I need a bite, that's probably what I'm going to tie on is the Christie critter and flip it in something that's pretty heavy, and that'd be my confidence way to catch one.
Going to the frog now. Have you been throwing that Teckle Spreckler frog at all? You still throwing that thing?
I've never seen one before in my life.
I'm going to tell you the problem I got with that Teckle Spreckler. All right. I can.
Honestly, that's an honest answer. I've never seen one. I've never held one. Now, I'm throwing something that, that's a prototype that I've had in my hands for a long time that's going to be released really soon, by Booyah. And it's even though I haven't seen one, from what I've heard, it's similar. But it's a lot different. It's something that I personally made myself, and
Nice.
and with the help of the engineers, at Booyah, we've made it even better than it was, than the homemade style, and we're just making sure everything's perfect, and not everybody, if you guys are testing it, we want everything to be perfect, and then we're going to release it.
So the problem that I'm having with that type of I don't know what type of frog you call it, a buzzing hollow body frog. Is that an accurate description?
From what I hear, the tempo is, yes, you're right. You're right about that. It's a combination of, a buzzbait, a hollow body frog, the whopper plopper that's been, popular lately. It's a combination of those baits. But the thing about it is you can, you can throw it anywhere. I mean, you can throw it through a lay down, and then the next cast fire it down at some riprap, and you don't have to worry. I mean, over lily pads, through grass, underneath docks, you don't have to worry about getting hung up. And I've seen a lot of good things from this frog. I mean, it's pretty special, and it's a big fish kind of bait. I mean, it's just one of those, we have 8 or 10 baits out there that just catch big fish. I mean, you look at, a jig, a spinnerbait, a garlic spook, and this bait's going to be one of those baits that you're not going to be surprised whenever you hear somebody come in with 25 pounds if they caught them on this frog.
It's a top water jig, like our buddy Ryan Popcorn Whitaker calls it. It really does get the big bites.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and that's fishing against the guys I fish against. You kind of have two choices. I mean, you either go with the big boy stuff, the jig, the frog, the czar spook, or you go the direct opposite. The drop shot, or some of the guys are crankers. They crank, and there's just not a lot of that in between stuff. It's either finesse or power. There's not a lot of in between, really. To me, there's not.
Hey, Jason, how does it feel to you? The fact that you are a role model. For example, we had Justin Atkins on the show last week, who just won the Forest Wood Cup, and Justin listed you as one of his role models, one of his major influences. At this point of your
really?
Yeah, he sure did. Yep. Yeah, he's a big Jason Christie fan.
Well, I got goosebumps. I mean, that kind of stuff's that's special. That's the reason that that I do what I do. And you think a lot of it would come from kids and stuff like that, but from other professional fishermen, that's pretty good. And that's what that's at the end of the day, that's what I want. Whenever I die someday, I don't care what they say about trophies or anything like that. That don't make a difference. I just want to say he was a pretty good old boy, and that's it.
Yeah, it's how you make people feel.
The rest of it doesn't matter.
They say an honest man's pillow is his peace of mind.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the deal. And pretty cool, that a kid, Justin Atkins, still a kid. He's 27 years old, Jason. But I mean,
right.
he's like, yeah, my dude is Jason Christie. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, coming from a guy that just won $300,000, that's pretty. That makes me feel pretty good.
Absolutely. and
now I won't feel so bad calling him, asking him for topwater tips.
Yeah, no, he's gonna tell you. He'll tell you all about it. He's actually watching the show right now, so he might just call you.
Well, cool.
Yeah, he might just call you. Hey, we this is not a completely serious bass fishing show. In case you can't tell, I don't know if you could tell that or not. So let's play a couple games. You want to play a few games, Jason?
Sure.
All right. Let's play a Bassin game show. All right. This is a Bassin talk show game show. Have you ever played a talk show game show before?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let's do it. Do you want to play? Do you want to play What's on Your Mind or the Bassin match game? What do you want to do?
What's on your mind?
What's on your mind?
That.
Everybody loves that game. There it is. Let's play What's on Your Mind with Jason Christie. All right, here we go. It's time for What's on Your Mind. I'm your host, Pat Renwick. Bass fishing supermodel Nicole Thor sits next to me. And on the line, Jason Christie, Elite Series bass angler. Jason, I'm going to give you a word or a phrase, and you tell me the first thing that pops into that bass fishing brain of yours. Are you ready? The first word is headhunter. Headhunter.
You said a headhunter?
Yes,
Yep,
sir.
That's it.
Is it? I want to make sure you said headhunter.
Yeah, I did. I
Yep.
said headhunter.
100%.
Yeah, like in the forest.
Okay. Greg Hackney.
Greg Hackney is a headhunter. There's no doubt about it.
100%.
He chases chupacabras, he told us on this show. That's a true story.
Yeah, he's definitely the headhunter, and Tommy Biff will be a close second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Jason, it's a way of life. It's a way of life is the phrase.
Lifestyle.
Fishing and deer hunt.
Fishing and deer hunting. Ain't nothing like it. Can you send us some backstrap here to Chicago when you get a chance?
Yeah, that might be an expensive shipping charge there that I'll charge to you.
Yeah, you can just send us the charge. That's fine. Jason, the wrecking ball. The wrecking ball.
Rocky Balboa.
Rocky Balboa's a wrecking ball. Fists of hammers.
For sure.
Fists of hammers. Bass Ackwards. Bass Ackwards.
Oh man, that's got to be Jason Christie.
That is him. Self-proclaimed. He is
Being honest.
He is Bass
Yeah, 'cause
Ackwards.
I think a lot of people think that that's how I do. That's how I fish is bass backwards.
Let's see here. Feeding grounds. The feeding grounds, Jason.
Feeding ground.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Hello.
Yeah, I
Yep.
said the feeding grounds would be the feeding grounds.
Food plot. A food plot with white clover.
A food plot. Okay.
Oh.
I was thinking that little spot in Canada where everything was eaten. You had the drums, the catfish,
Oh,
the
yeah.
walleyes, and of course, the Derby
Now,
winning
you
smallmouth.
you are right about that. I didn't think about that, but that definitely was the feeding ground. They need to put up 4 buoys 2 miles by 2 miles and mark that the feeding ground.
That's the only answer he got wrong so far, but we're going to give it to him anyway, right, Nicole?
of course.
Yeah. He's Jason Christie.
Of course.
He's a bass and badass. We have to make sure he gets that right. The last one is hubcap. The hubcap, Jason.
Oh my goodness, I don't even think of anything on that. That's
Tick tock, tick tock.
that's
tick.
what I was throwing at the classic last year when I finished second.
That
Spinnerbait with the hubcap on it.
that is the hubcap. That is the
Perfect.
deal
Ding,
right
ding,
there.
ding, ding,
Yeah, Jason
ding.
Christie is a winner right here on Straight Cast. That's how we
Good
do it.
job.
Woo! That's the deal, right there. Let's play another game. Let's play a game we call 3 on deck, 1 in hand. Okay, and this is a new Elite Series rule that Trip Weldon is going to install on the 2018 Bassmaster Elite Series, and that is that you professionals are only allowed to bring 4 rods in the boat. I know this is unfathomable, but you're only allowed to bring 4 rods. So what would those 4 rods be? 3 on deck, 1 in hand. What would those be? Be specific. Break it down.
You talking about specific rod or just bait, rod, and reel?
But the whole deal, the combos,
Everything.
the 4 combos, the rod, the reel, and the bait on them.
Falcon, 610 Cara, head turner. This is a spinnerbait rod
Okay.
with 22-pound Sunline Sniper and a Lew's Custom Pro 6.8 to 1.
22-pound
half
test.
ounce excuse me?
You said 22-pound test on the spinnerbait rod.
Yeah, 22-pound Sunline Sniper. I don't mess around.
Oh, that's killer.
That's dancing with who brung you. What's the spinnerbait?
Yeah. Half ounce booyah spinnerbait.
Half-ounce booyah spinnerbait. Give me another combo. What do you got?
The next one would be flipping rod, 7.3 Falcon Cara pitching / swim bait rod with a Lew's Custom Pro 8.3 to 1 with 25-pound Sunline Sniper with a Jason Christie or a Christie critter on it, Yum Christie critter on the end of it, half ounce weight,
There it is.
5/0 TK130 trocar hook.
The gaff. That's the deal. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got 2 left.
The third one, I got to throw a square bill in there.
Yes.
Booyah Flex. It's a new bait that we come out with. It hasn't been on the market very long, and it's a pretty special bait. It's made out of foam. It's going to be a big part of me for a while. Falcon 7-foot, 5-power, Lew's Custom Pro, 6.8 to 1, and probably 16-pound Sunline Sniper.
Gotcha. I saw those foam square bills, and I was like, wow, that's kind of a unique deal, man.
It is. It really is. And actually, I'm going Friday to test something that's gonna, I'm going Friday to test something that's got a lot of the same principles, and I'm excited about it.
Tell us what it is.
The first, excuse me.
Tell us what it is. You're leaving us hanging.
I can't do that. I get in trouble. I wanted to give you a little taste of it, but the first time I threw that bait was at the Classic in practice this year, and I pick it up and literally throw it about 4 times, and I catch a 7-pounder, and I really thought that that's what I was going to do. That's the bait that was going to win the Classic, and it just it was one of those fish that was kind of in the wrong place, and I got on another deal. I obviously probably should have just stayed with the Flex, but I've caught a lot of fish on it since then. A lot of my buddies have. But it's a special bait. It's just the way it's made with the foam and the tungsten rattle in it. It's a special bait.
To be announced. TBA.
Yep.
That's what it is. Okay, fourth combo. Your final combo. What's it going to be? You got the spinnerbait rod. You got the flip stick. You got the square bill rod. What's the fourth combo, Jason?
Well, we got 3 shallow ones. We might as well say we might as well go 4 shallow. I just have to go with the spook. One knocker spook. That thing's taught me a lot of big fish over the years. I've won tournaments on it. So a one knocker spook. The line would be 30-pound Sunline SX1 with a foot or 2-foot leader, monofilament leader. Lew's Custom Pro 6.8 to 1 on a Falcon 610 Cara head turner.
The whole deal went shallow. You're not screwing around.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely staying shallow. That's your strengths. You're dancing with who, Brown?
Well, the way the Elite Series has been the last few years, and the way it looks like it's going to be next year, it's a shallow deal.
It's in your wheelhouse, man.
Sounds about right.
Hey,
That's right.
You've been at this deal a while, man. What is the first valuable lesson that you learned as a professional bass angler? What's the first valuable lesson that you learned?
Well, it's the first valuable lesson, and it's the most important lesson. And it's a lesson that after 10 years, I'm really stubborn about it. You don't listen to nobody but yourself. And that's worked for me. There's guys out there that, are able to talk a lot and talk to buddies and things like that about fishing places or even baits. And to me, I got to keep everything to myself, because if I'm out there and I'm just one of those people, if I got too many choices, I get confused. I got to keep it simple. Like the 4 rods that I told you about, those are the most simple rods there is, as far as techniques, and that's the way I've got to do it. Just to, like I said, keep my choices very slim. And there's times that I miss the boat. I don't get the memo of the some special bait in 64 foot of water, and most, whenever the going gets tough, you're out there. If you haven't talked to anybody, you're gonna get tough. You're gonna go fishing, and you're gonna figure it out, and you're gonna do it the way that you know how to do it. And it may not be right, but you're gonna do it the way you know how to do it. If you talk to a lot of people, you get out there in the first 2 hours, you're not catching them. You're gonna start chasing those ghosts. Billy Joe Bob, he said he caught him on a spook, over 74 foot of water. 13 years ago, and you're going to be trying to do that nonsense. And the best thing is just keep to yourself.
And a perfect
Yeah.
example of that is exactly what you do in Major League Fishing. Yeah, I mean, boom, you're just right out there fishing your strengths, basically with the 4 sticks that you just talked about.
Right.
I mean,
fishing visible targets, thinking on the fly. That's my kind of fishing.
First valuable lesson learned in bass fishing by Jason Christie. Nicole, do you have a question for Jason?
Yeah, I do. Will you accept it, Jason?
Yeah, I'm having a little hard time hearing Nicole, so you might have to repeat it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Go
my
ahead,
question for you, Jason, is I know you drive from tournament and tournament an amazing wrapped boat and truck, but I want to know what's the question you get most often asked when you stop at places between your derbies.
Did you get that, Jason?
I didn't. Will you repeat that?
Yeah. I know you drive from your tournament to tournament in an amazing wrapped boat and truck, but I want to know what's the question you're most asked when you stop at places between your derbies.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I got all the way to the truck. I drive the truck, and then I lost you.
Yeah,
I didn't lose you. I just can't understand you.
She's basically saying that that you drive a kick-ass wrap boat and truck
For sure.
from tournament to tournament, and you stop a lot of places in between. Nicole wants to know what is the most often asked question.
Yeah, what do people ask you
in your stops
when they see it?
What do they ask you?
The most often asked question is, what are those 2 things on the back of your boat pointed up toward the sky? That's the most. I stop at a convenience store and anywhere you go, people ask, what are those 2 things? Because everybody's seen an engine, everybody's seen a boat and a wrap truck, but they have not seen the power poles. And and on each one of them, you go through the spiel of what they are, and how effective they are and how much it's helped you to win, all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you just gotta be funny. And, I just say they're rocket launchers or something like that. And it kind of eases the conversation and I actually tell them what it is. But that's by far the most frequent asked question that I get.
Everybody asks
Yeah.
that. They ask us that all the time. What the heck are those things sticking up at the back of the boat? I just tell them that it's for radio weather satellite. Is what I tell people. But hey, tell us a Jimmy Houston story. I know you're kind of tight with Jimmy Houston. You got a Jimmy Houston story for us?
Really, the only one that I can think of is that would surprise people is, what is he now? He's got to be 71, 72 years old.
Yeah.
73 maybe, but I've done a couple of TV shows with him, and he asked me to do one a couple of years ago on the lake that we both live on there on Ten Killer, and I'll never forget. We started at daylight, and he said all we need is 15 or 20 fish catches, and then we'll be done. And I was like, that won't be a problem. We'll get this knocked out, and I'll be home by noon. And I told him, I said, my daughter has a game at 5 o'clock, so no matter what happens, I have to be on the bank, driving at 4:30 headed to the ball game. And he's like, that's not a problem. Well, we have the fish catches knocked out by noon, and he just won't quit. I mean, here I am, half of his age, or maybe even a third of his age, not half, I guess. And I have to make him at 4:30 take me to the bank. I mean, he's just like a kid out there. He wants to keep fishing. He's laughing. He's giggling. But I literally just had to tell him, you got to take me to the bank so I can go to my daughter's ball game. And he just has a lot of energy. I mean, he helped me this past weekend at my kid's fishing derby. And, it didn't matter if the kid was 5 or if the lady was 75. Everybody was special to him, and he just made time for everybody. And like most of us do, but I noticed that everybody got his attention, and that made a lot of people feel special, and that's what is special about Jimmy.
Absolutely, and I hope that that not only are you special to Justin Atkins, but Jimmy Houston also listed you when we saw him at the Forest Wood Cup as one of his favorite fishermen.
Well, good. And he is, he grew up across, literally, not he grew up, but I grew up across the lake from him. And at the point whenever I was younger, he was one of the guys. And he still is. I mean, I think he's one of the best salesmen as far and representative of the sport that there has ever been. And he's valuable, to a lot of the sponsors and stuff. And I've learned a lot from him, just in shooting the TV shows. I mean, I've never seen him do a second take on anything. I mean, they throw a product down there, he knows it like the back of his hand, and he gets it done in one take, and he does a good job at it.
And he is the definition of a true bass fishing professional. Back to the start of this thing. That's Jimmy Houston right there, dude.
Right.
No doubt about it. Jason, hey, we are out of time. Thank you so much for coming on this show again. And you have anything you want to say to your fans or your sponsors before we get out of here, bud?
Well, I just appreciate, all the support from everybody. Like I said earlier, I kind of keep to myself, and man, I get so many comments and stuff on Facebook and everything, but it means a lot to have that many people watching and caring and looking, and I don't know what's going to happen next week, but it won't be if I lose, it won't be from lack of effort. I promise you that.
Yeah, you're giving it your all 100% every derby this year, and you're having a great year, dude, and we wish you the best of luck next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks again so much for coming on this show, Jason. We look forward to having you again, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Take care of yourself. Safe travels. That is Jason Christie, Bassmaster Elite Series touring professional. I am Pat Renwick. This is Bass Fishing Supermodel Nicole Dorr, Andy the Ginger Ninja over there. Hey, from all of us to all of you, we bid you bass wishes. We see you next week on Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. Same bass place, same bass time. I'm out.